Hello, everybody. I wanted to give a quick update as to where I've been with my studies lately. And after having um, bought the CCIE Internet Network Expert Route and Switch Volume 1 through 4 workbook series, and buy the CCIE Route and Switch written exam book, which is about 1,000 pages and like 20 chapters. Huge book, but very informative. Definitely a must read if you want to pass the CCIE written exam. So currently, my uh, goal is to read the book. So the CCIE RNS book, um, version 4. That's what I'm reading right now, and I'm taking notes as I go through. Even if I already know it, I'm still taking notes for it because you never. It's the things that you don't normally run into that are gonna catch you up. So that's what I've been focused on lately. Now, with that being said, I'm also working pretty steadily on some other things. Now, I've banged a couple of ideas off of some guys that I know that are senior engineers, and what do they think, and am I going about this the right way? One thing that I've found from working in the industry for a little while now is if you don't have a strong understanding of design, you're gonna have a hard time figuring out what's what and where to put it. So design is not only just IP addressing, figuring out the scheme you're going to use, the ranges you're going to use, stuff like that. You also have to understand the solutions that you can apply to best fit what the customer needs. So that could be, there's three different things you have to look out for. There's data. Um, data. My computer is spiking. Hold on a minute. Okay. Um, there's going to be data. There's voice and video. Why do I list voice and video and data? Well, as your environments grow, so are the requirements for the network. So you're going to want to build your network to allow for the most data to go across it. Voice and video are data that's going to need to cross. So you're going to want to design your network to allow for voice over IP, some sort of collaboration material for video, stuff like that. So I definitely recommend going through and understanding the requirements for those. Now, with that being said, um, to gain that, I recommend. Now, this is what I'm going to do. This is my training strategy. I'm going to do the CCDA, so CCDA slash DP, and I'm not actually going after the certification, so to speak, but through the material so that I can see where I might be lacking. So design. Now the CCDA, you don't need as far as I understand this, and this is on Cisco's website, a active CCNA for this, but I would recommend having a CCNA if you're attempting the CCIE. Um, with that being said, the CCDP, in order to get that, you have to pass the route and switch exams for the CCNP, and then take the CCDP, the architecture certification, that exam, and then you get the CCDP. So if you're already an active CCNP and you want the CCDP, you have to take one exam. You earn the CCDP. So I'm going to go through those. I'm also going to go through CCNA. That's a horrible N. My computer is, for some reason, is wigging out here. I don't know why. Security and voice, because that'll help with learning the security side of it, so the firewalls, the IPS, stuff like that. Voice for the QoS, learning how basic voice works, because you're going to run into it. I mean, it's going to be something you're going to run into, and you're going to want to at least have a basic understanding of how it works and how call manager works and stuff like that. Just so you can go through. You don't have to go get the certifications in order to go get the CCIE, but these are things that I would definitely recommend. So the CCDA and DP, the CCNA Security and the CCNA Voice. These are all things that I would highly recommend you go through in order to get stronger in the areas. Now, with MPLS and BGP, um, MPLS is more of a service provider thing, technology. So for the most part, you're not going to be dealing with it on the wide scale spread, but as a service provider would. Now, not to say that you won't. Um, what I understand from the videos and through the books that I've read, it's not as strongly influenced in the CCIE route and switch as it is in the service provider side. So I don't know if that's necessarily absolutely 100% true, but it's how I take it. So this is what I recommend you go out and you get, and as soon as you have this stuff, it'll be that much easier for you. This is a must read right here. You have to read this book. I'm in the process of reading it. It's written by Wendell Odom, Russ Healy, and Denise Donahue, all CCIEs. They've been doing it for a long time. As a matter of fact, um, when I was reading through, what else was I reading through? There was another one. I can't think off the top of my head of what it is, but um, because there's another girl. I think it was the BGP that I was reading, something like that. But anyway, I'm reading through the book and pulling out notes as I'm going through it. Now, quite frankly, I want to stop school for the next 6 months just so I can get through and stuff like that. But I'm using the written exam videos that I've watched. I'm going to go back through the written exam video series through Internet Network Expert and pull out whatever reading he recommends for that, so that you at least have a basic understanding of what you're supposed to be, asked for. Because I have the understanding that it's going to be more scenario based, but that's not 100% true, or I haven't been able to validate that. So I've been reading a lot of forums from people that have taken the exam, what they saw, not specific questions, but the format of the question, and going that route. So with that being said, there are going to be certain things that you need to know when you go take the exam. Now, knowing how to design a network isn't so much going to be the benefit for the written exam, but it won't hurt you to know how to do it. Because a lot of times they're going to go with the best technology to fit the bill. In most cases, from the book that I've read, that's where they're going to focus most of it. So they're not going to throw some crazy topology at you and say, okay, this is what you need to do. Because the most likely isn't going to be what you run into every day, but the most likely is the one thing that they have to have there is a standard that they have to throw at you. So they don't have to follow it, but the standard is going to allow you to kind of follow a standard, because if they were just gonna teach you these technology, okay, you go out, you learn these specific technologies. There's like 20 different things you have to know for the CCIE. You go out, you learn these technologies, you get really good at them, you can configure them, you can troubleshoot them, you can get them working, and everything else is good to go. But if you end up getting some creepy, weird topology that you have to configure, by rights, a CCIE should be able to figure that out and make it work. Well, that's where I think the design side of it comes in, because then you know what's going to work where, and go from there. So, one other thing that I'm going to do is I have Keith Barker's the IPv6 series. There's 30-some videos, so I'm going to go through IPv6. And I have Jeremy Chara's BGP for this ISP. I'm going to go through that, so that it's more focused on IPv6, more focused on BGP, and then I have the INE service provider for the CCIE. I had those videos, so I'm also going to go through those for the MPLS side of it, because of the fact that I want to know more than what I need to know, because I don't want to get on the exam and be like, I've never seen that before. If you know more than what the exam is going to ask you about, then you won't be surprised. That's what I'm kind of trying to study for. Because if you just study the bare minimum material to go pass this exam, yeah, you can definitely pass it, but I don't want to be spending $1,500 per attempt, get to the lab, and I'm looking at the questions and going, I have no idea how to do that. And then you're spending time on the documentation trying to figure out how to do it just so you can pass. I don't want to put myself through that pressure. So if you can take the stress away during your studies and get strong in multiple areas, so in all honesty, this is exactly what I'm studying. I'm reading this right here, and I'm getting stronger in BGP, which I will go through and cover in this. So this will be my first step. This is step one. Now, by rights, I should go through the video series and get at least a foundation level understanding. Well, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to read the book, and I'm going to prepare myself by taking the practice tests that I bought with the book. It comes with a companion CD. Once I read the book cover to cover, and I feel like I can do it, I'm going to take the test. It's a 200 question test, and I'm going to take the test, and I'm going to go and see how I do. If I do fairly well, I'll move on. If I'm weak in certain areas, then I know I got to go back, and I know I got to brush up on, this, and this. I'll do that. It's kind of, you go through the material, and you test yourself. Where are you at? And then I definitely will do, this will be number 2. Go through CCNA Security and CCNA Voice. CCNA Security, I think, is like 15 videos, and Voice is another 12 or something like that. You figure you go take a 1 week for this guy, a week apiece. So you go through, you watch the videos, you take notes. You don't have to be able to implement anything. It's the conceptual side of it. You want to understand how the technology works, where to apply it, how it'll affect where it'll come into play with other things. So this stuff right here will be number 2, and then I will do IPv6 3rd, BGP 4th, and I will do the CCDA and DP. This will be 5th, and then INEs. Come on, INE. Their ATC. This will be 6th. So I'm figuring I'll have the book read probably another week. I'll have the book completely read because I'm already on chapter 4. So I'll give myself a week to read the book. Then I'll go watch the CCNA security and voice videos. That'll get me stronger in QoS, and that'll also get me stronger in security. So I'll watch those videos. Then IPv6. I think IPv6 is going to be a huge section of it. Because of the fact that you don't know how many people are going to be using it. So I want to be very strong with IPv6 when I get there. So mastering that will definitely be something I want to do. BGP, you don't need it necessarily for the service provider side of it, but I work for a service provider, so I want to be stronger in it. So if you understand what route reflectors are, what confederations are, how BGP works with MPLS, that'll definitely help. And then the CCDP and the CCDA, I'll definitely go through those. The INE ATC, there's 157 videos with that. I think it's 155. That'll be 6. And then once I feel like I've gone through everything, then I will attempt, somewhere in here I will attempt the written exam. I don't know when, but once I have the book written or the book read, and if I do well, and I feel like I'm competent at it, I will just get stronger at it. I may reread the book again, and I might just kind of just keep going back over and over again, and eventually I'll do the ATC for the service provider. So I'll do the SP side, and this will be number 7. And then at the same point in time, I have a bunch of books, and I will go through and I'll read the books as I'm going through and be like, okay, what does this do, and how would I implement it somewhere else? There is no CCDE training that I am aware of. Not to say there isn't, but I'm not aware of any. But this is where I'm focused on my studies right now. And the idea behind this is not so that I can, I'm not trying to be a sarcastic smarty pants or anything like that. I am simply, and I've already stated why I'm going through this much trouble, I think, to get there, so that I don't get surprised when I'm in the lab, so that I can walk in the lab when I go to San Jose and sit down at my desk area, wherever they're going to have me working. I can read through the lab. I can pull out notes. I can look through everything. I can read through the lab and know what I've got coming. Formulate a plan and go. Okay, I want to do this first, this second, this third, this fourth, and then hit it. Get the easy stuff out of the way first. Get the more difficult stuff later, so that you're not spending so much time doing one thing over the other. Go with what you're strong with first. And the idea, if you're studying correctly and labbing the appropriate way, when you get to the lab, you're strong in all of it. You're not an expert in everything, but you're strong in BGP, IPv6, IPv4, routing, switching, security, services, optimization. These are all things you want to be very strong in before you walk into that lab. Because when you're in that lab, you only have 8 hours. And you don't know how robust that network is going to be. So, without having taken the lab before, and never even taken the written, I'm trying to prepare myself so that when I get to that point, I'm not surprised. I can go in there, I can configure the stuff, I can walk out, hopefully early, and shake the proctor's hand and say, well, thanks for the opportunity, and walk out the door, and then a few hours later, get an email alert that says, hey, you've passed. That's what I want to do. And the first thing you need to do, the structured approach that I've been following, is what INE has put in there. It's foundation level understanding. If you understand what you need to know, and you get good at it, and you can configure and troubleshoot it, you've already prepared yourself to pass. It's setting yourself up for success is the whole point of this. Because you go in there and you're a hot shot, you want to know how to set up advanced IPv6 to IPv4 tunnels so that you can do route redistribution and complex NATing. Well, that's great if you can do that. I can't. Are you going to impress me if you can do that? I don't know. I don't know if you even really need to know how to do that. But the point of this is you need to know how to get it up and running first. Because if you can't even get it running, who cares about that advanced stuff? You have to be able to get the ship upright and floating before you can sail away. So that's my advice for anyone that's looking for, you know, that if that's the path you want to go, you got to start somewhere. So this is where I'm at. This is what I've been doing. I feel real strong, or I feel real confident that this is all going to work out. I figured it's the end of February 2013. I've already got a few chapters of the book down. I feel pretty good about it. It's all stuff I'm already pretty familiar with. So I think reading the book is definitely going to solidify what I already do know. And then it's going to just reiterate the things that I don't know. It's going to help me build on that and reinforce the concepts. That's right now, that's all I'm really worried about is reinforce the concepts. If I can do that and get the concepts down, the technologies will be easy to put together. That's usually how it is. If I understand how it works, then I can troubleshoot it. That's the whole purpose. So, I'm going to let you guys go because I figured you're tired of listening to me rambling and looking at a blank, some basic writing. But that's kind of my flow. It doesn't necessarily have to follow this plan, but at least I want to run through this stuff and, at least have a good basis for where I want to go. So, that's it. If you have any questions, shoot me an email, rriker82 at yahoo.com or rriker82 at gmail.com. It doesn't matter, I get both. So, if you have any questions, give me an email. If you think this, if you have a comment or a suggestion, feel free to forward that on too. I'm always looking for a different aspect. You know, I throw this stuff out there so that people can respond back to me and say, "Hey, listen, this is what I'm doing," and if I think it'll help me, I'll take the suggestion. You know, if you think something I've suggested will help you, more than by all means, take it. But the one last thing I want to leave with you is if you don't at least have a solid CCNP level of understanding to the routing and switching industry, you're going to struggle with it. If you're at a CCNA level and you struggle really, really bad with BGP, you're going to want to wait till you get a little farther along with it. So, with that said, I hope this has been informative for you, and I'd like to thank you for viewing.